What is it about true crime that we find so irresistibly entertaining? Maybe we subconsciously take pleasure in voyeuristically witnessing horrifying situations unfold before our eyes. Or perhaps our sense of justice is fed whenever we watch devious criminal psychopaths receive their just desserts. From bone-chilling podcasts to creepy beyond belief books that raise the hairs on the backs of our necks, our true crime obsession is undeniably at an all-time high. Here are some of the best true crime documentaries currently on Netflix. Killer Inside: The Mind of Aaron Hernandez, 2020. It might not exactly be a hidden gem per se, but it's certainly a true crime documentary worth giving a shot, no pun intended. Aaron Hernandez shocked the world when he went from being an up-and-coming NFL athlete to a cold-blooded convicted killer. In this docuseries, you'll find interviews with some of Aaron's closest friends, family members, and fellow players who examine the unnerving chain of events that led to his downfall. The Confession Killer, 2019. Henry Lee Lucas seemingly was a sociopathic serial killer who confessed to committing more than 600 murders. While there's sparse evidence actually linking him to the victims, Lucas recalled grisly details about the crimes that weren't available to the general public, and that ultimately resulted in his conviction. But here's the twist. When modern DNA testing begins to contradict some of his claims, law enforcement starts to wonder whether he was really telling the truth about his alleged crimes. Abducted in Plain Sight, 2019. Trust no one. These are the three words that sum up the theme of this documentary. When a friendly neighbor manipulates the parents of a young girl into letting him kidnap her, you'd bet pretty much anything those parents would never let such an awful thing happen again. Unfortunately, you would also lose that bet. Unsolved Mysteries, 2020. Netflix's revival of the classic true crime and paranormal investigation series Unsolved Mystery is well suited for anyone who loves trying to figure out who the murderer is. But for those of you who just get frustrated by open endings without clear resolve, you might just want to pass on this one. We'll admit it's a bit frustrating how each episode ends with more questions than it answered. There are currently 12 episodes on Netflix. The most interesting part is how it brings increased awareness to these unsolved cases. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Trender if you haven't already. And stick around to discover 12 more true crime documentaries that you really should check out. Icarus, 2017. Arguably one of the most thought-provoking true crime documentaries on Netflix, it's really no surprise Icarus won an Oscar because of it. The doc begins with American cyclist Brian Fogel exploring the world of doping in amateur cycling. What he didn't expect to find in his research was a huge international doping scandal. After enlisting the help of Grigory Rodchenkov, the head of Russia's anti-doping laboratory, the two blow the whistle on Russia's cheating at the 2014 Winter Olympics. Fearing for his life, Fogel is then forced to flee the country. Each chapter of this tangled web of a story gets more intense as you keep watching. American Murder: The Family Next Door, 2020. One day, they appeared to be the picture-perfect family of four next door. The next, Shannon Watts and her two children mysteriously vanish, and her husband Chris confesses to killing them. This 90-minute documentary takes a closer look at this disturbing case, answering the many questions that have perplexed and haunted people for years. Long Shot, 2017. This relatively short 40-minute documentary introduces the audience to Juan Catalan, a young man who's on a mission to prove he's innocent of murder. In his defense, Catalan did something no defendant has ever attempted to do before by obtaining footage from a popular TV show in a long-shot attempt to solidify his alibi. Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, 2021. This docuseries, directed by Joe Bellinger, chronicles the death of Elisa Lam at the Cecil Hotel. If you've ever visited LA, you've probably heard about the Cecil Hotel, given its mysterious and gruesome history. The 4-episode series does tend to drag out some of the details of the mystery and goes off on some tangents at times to build suspense, but if you view it from an objective standpoint, where the bigger question is why this hotel attracts so much volatile energy in the first place, it's most certainly worth a watch. It also touches on what happens after the finger of blame is pointed at the wrong person. Give it a shot. You likely won't be disappointed. Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich. This 4-part documentary series was released less than a year after Epstein supposedly killed himself in his jail cell, and it details just how he managed to run a child sex trafficking ring for the rich and powerful elites. It also throws Epstein's longtime friend and Madam Ghislaine Maxwell into the spotlight, exposing her vital role in Epstein's crimes. She currently awaits trial for the role she played in abusing and manipulating countless victims who fell prey to their sinister sex ring. Word to the wise, it's not a very easy documentary to watch. It's incredibly disturbing, but it shines a much-needed light on the survivors of Epstein's abuse. It also raises a lot of unsettling questions about who else partook in Epstein's sex ring and whether or not they'll someday face justice for what they did. The Investigator, a British Crime Story, 2016. In this 2-season documentary series, revered criminologist Mark Williams Thomas uses the experience he gained in his 11-plus years on the police force to re-examine a string of mysterious murders. The first series, which is comprised of 4 episodes, focuses on the murder of Carol Packman, who disappeared in 1985. The second series, consisting of 3 episodes, looks into several unsolved disappearances and murders that might be tied to convicted serial killers Peter Tobin and Angus Sinclair. The Keepers, 2017. This phenomenal docuseries presents the viewer with more questions than it answers. Throughout its 7 episodes, we follow 2 former students who have ceaselessly devoted their time and energy to solving the cold case of Sister Catherine Cessnick, a Baltimore area nun who was brutally murdered in 1969. Throughout the series, the students do everything in their power to uncover evidence that has long since disappeared. Even worse is the fact that they're working against an unexpectedly bigger enemy than you might have expected, the Roman Catholic Church. The series does a great job at exposing what many people simply can't imagine to be true. Night Stalker, The Hunt for a Serial Killer, 2020. Night Stalker is a cohesive 4-part documentary series that details the murders committed by Richard Ramirez in the 1980s and his subsequent capture. It explores the cultural climate of the period when the serial rapist and murderer terrorized the citizens of California. One particularly interesting aspect of this case is the story of Gil Carrillo, one of the lead detectives on the case. We get the chance to see the investigations from his perspective and learn how it affected him both on a personal and professional level. While this limited series is somewhat sensationalized, it also allows survivors and everyone harmed by one man's egregious actions to speak out and share their stories. Murder Among the Mormons, 2021. This 3-part documentary miniseries follows the story of Mark Hoffman, one of the most notable forgers in history, who created societally polarizing forgeries related to the Latter-day Saint Church. Hoffman ended up creating explosive devices in hopes of somehow covering up his deceit, resulting in 2 deaths. He created a panic in the Salt Lake City region and created deep rifts among the church members. He was exposed as a forger and sent to prison to pay for his crimes. Yet again, the series dials up the more sensational elements to create an almost theatrical narrative, but it succeeds in pacing the plotline in a way that's captivating and keeps the viewer on the edge of their seats. Wormwood, 2017. If you've ever been curious about MKUltra, the once classified CIA mind control program, this one is a must-watch. What distinguishes this documentary from others is the criminal in question just so happens to be the U.S. government. Directed by Errol Morris, who previously gave us American Dharma, this docudrama transcends genres with its mind-bending reenactments to provide you with an experience like none other, as you begin to explore the mysterious death of a U.S. scientist who got caught up in the secret Cold War initiative. Remastered, The 2 Killings of Sam Cooke, 2019. Music lovers and true crime buffs alike will appreciate this one. You probably remember Sam Cooke for his chart-topping soul hits like A Change Is Gonna Come and Chain Gang, but this documentary explores how the singer's outspoken views on civil rights just might have led to his premature death at 33. This well-polished re-examination of one of the 20th century's most cherished musical talents' life and death is without a doubt a must-watch. Why Did You Kill Me? 2021. Last but not least, we have a documentary about a family desperate for justice and revenge that decides to take an unorthodox approach to try to catch a killer. After a young mother named Crystal Theobald is tragically slain in 2006, her relatives resort to creating a slew of fake MySpace accounts to catfish the killer into revealing himself. The documentary is as timely as it is unsettling. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite true crime documentary on Netflix? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Trender if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.